All right, everybody, welcome to Office Hours. Thank you so much for being here. We are early July. What is it, July 2nd? So we are in the back half of the year now, officially. I hope that the first half of the year was a successful one in as many ways as possible, given all the craziness that the world's been going through. And I believe that the second half of the year is going to be much better for everybody. So let's get after it, and I appreciate you guys all being here. Most of you know the routine by now, I would expect. These are Q&A calls, so feel free to chat in any questions or virtually raise your hand, and we'll go in order and knock them out here. So let's see here. Tony, first up with the raised hand. Go for it, Tony.
Literally and figuratively. So I figured I'd go old school because I've been following you for a while. And back in the day, you offered UpViral, and I had bought that a while ago. So I'm doing a giveaway and a sweepstakes. And so I can add, I'll post, I have a demo of it so you can see what I'm talking about. But as you know, I'm doing a software launch. And to build a big list, I decided to do a giveaway, which I just threw in the chat there. And then I have a sales page for it as well, if you want to check it out. But kind of what I wanted to get from you is some ideas of how I can leverage UpViral. Because I, other than buying it, honestly, I haven't touched it since I bought it. And now I'm kind of resurrecting it out from the grave. And so I wanted to kind of get some thoughts on like how I can leverage it, any kind of gotchas, you know, how to lead someone from the giveaway into an actual sale. Because I don't want to be too salesy on the front end. And so I just wanted to give you a sense. That's kind of what I'm doing. And so I'm getting the top podcasters together to give me a bunch of swag, essentially, everything from microphones to tickets to events. And so that's the sweepstakes. And then I have a free part, which is down below, where people can give basically their lead magnet. So if you click in, if you go up a bit, and you click on sponsorships, you can see one I put in there, right in the middle there, everyone wins. So this is where like a lead magnet would go. So I just threw in like the trial, which of course I wouldn't do that because that's a little salesy, but this is where if someone had like a mini course or something like that. So that's for contributors. And then sweepstakes is where we get like microphones and things like that as prizes. So what I imagine is someone registers for this, they get access to, well, I actually have it up above. So right there, someone registers, again, using UpViral. Nope, right where you were. Up just, yeah, right there. So the way it works, someone would register, and then they would go into UpViral, and then I would do some sort of sequence on the back end. They would get access to the gifts, which are completely free from the contributors, and then they have a chance to win prizes, which again, I'm going to use UpViral to power that. But again, other than buying it, I don't have any experience with it. So I wanted to see what your thoughts were and like how I can use it. Again, I know this was a while ago, it's like 6 years ago or whatever, but you know,
that's silent. You're getting to it, so that's awesome. First of all, very nice job. This looks fantastic.
Thanks.
So this is so this is recruiting this is like the partner recruiting page?
Yes.
Oh, I love it, man. Totally love it. Awesome. Well, so you are going like all in your approach with this, which I love. So Tony knows, and others here may not, that I think that giveaways like this are probably by far the easiest way to build a big list fast in any market. I've used them in every single market, and they work like gangbusters. In e-commerce, I built a list of 60,000 people in my target audience in just a very, very short period of time. That helped me launch that business into a 7-figure business very quickly. But I do giveaways and everything. I do them in local, I do them in everything. So this is a really, really nice job. So just, you know, the way it all looks and everything, I think is fantastic. So in terms of UpViral specifically, and given the effort that you're putting into this and getting partners and stuff like that, I think that there's a handful of pieces of advice I'd give you. So first of all, how long is the contest going to be like open? From the first day somebody could, you know, enter to the day that you're planning on shutting it down, how long is that going to be?
Well, if you look at right there where they have the everyone wins, right below, no, down a little bit, like right there. I was going to keep it open for 6 weeks And so there's a featured section, but then there's 6 categories. So I was going to do one giveaway each week, like a high value giveaway, and then smaller ones. So it's, to answer your question, it's 6 weeks.
Okay, awesome, cool.
Is that good, or is that too long or too short? It seems long. I mean, some people thought it was long, but
I think that it's long compared to oftentimes, I'll do just faster giveaways that are 2 weeks or something like that. But it's not long if you take exactly the approach that you're talking about taking, which is exactly what I would suggest. So with UpViral, in terms of what I suggest that you do with UpViral, it's that I suggest that you use UpViral, one for the viral sharing capabilities and have some sort of points, reward system associated with that. So for those of you who are not familiar, UpViral, it's a very nice tool just for doing kind of simple contest management, giveaway management, things like that. And it's got this viral component to it, where people can get more entries into your giveaway by sharing. And so it tracks their social sharing, and depending on the number of people who then respond to their social shares, you can give them more entries into the contest so that they have a better chance of winning. So there's some cool incentives and gamification built in there to get more people onto your list. So that, in my experience, Tony, that sounds sexier than it actually turns out to be. And so what I mean by that is that, maybe you see like an 8% lift or, a 10% lift or something like that, which is, hey, 10% is 10%. I'll take 10% onto my list at any time, no question. But my experience is that you don't see that explosive virality that maybe you're hoping for when you buy an UpViral and you go, oh, my list is just going to explode with people sharing this. Now, that's not to say that it can't happen. It can. I think, though, that in order for it to happen, you got to have some really hot prizes, and it's got to be in a hot market, right? It's got to be something that people are really excited about. So if you're giving away a vacation to the Caribbean islands, and people are I can win this Caribbean vacation, then they're gonna have more reason to share. So if you have some grand prizes in there that are pretty darn big and exciting, then that is definitely going to get you more sharing. So, but I would absolutely have that in there, and I would try and find a way to a little bit opposite of what I just said, is to reward people also, for lower levels of things, not just those bigger prizes, right? Because part of the psychology of human nature is if there's these big grand prizes and there's a bunch of people entering the contest, you kind of immediately go, oh, I'm not going to win the big grand prize. There's so many people in this contest, right? So if you can also create incentive around some smaller stuff, and like so what I did several times with the e-commerce business in particular was I did like a 30-day contest, and every single day I was announcing new prizes. So every single day people got, an announcement from us saying, hey, here's new winners today. Here's how you can increase your chances of winning tomorrow. And tomorrow we're giving away X, Y, and Z. So share the contest, yada, yada, right? Mm-hmm. So being very active about it over the course of that 6 weeks and just looking at it as like an all-out campaign during that 6 weeks will really, just give this a massive, massive boost in the overall impact that it has for your business and for your list growth. So, I think you've already got that mindset. You're recruiting partners, and all that type of stuff. So that's incredible. Having your partners promoting it, of course, so having that as a part of the deal of partnership as they're, announcing it to their lists and stuff like that is, a huge, multiplication factor in getting exposure on this and building your list because of it. So that's definitely a big opportunity. And then let's see here. So I said the smaller prizes, the smaller, frequent prizes, and then really just that constant communication are really, the biggies to me, and what's going to make a big, the massive difference here. And I mean, and the partner participation is just a huge one. That alone will make more of an impact than anything else, right? If you get them to share it to their list.
Right.
But I think just that super regular communication, consistent communication, and just acting like, like every day is an event. Every day we got a new 24-hour timer. We're drawing new prizes. Keep your eye here. We're going to announce the winners. Yada yada. Making a deal. Making a big deal out of it. Somebody won. Sending out a message to your whole list, reminding them, hey, tomorrow's prize is X, Y, and Z. Here's how you can get more entries. Just every single day.
Got it. What's the best way to drive them from the list? Like, this is great too, because you did this in e-commerce. Like, what's the best way to drive them from being on your list to the sale? Like, is there a certain amount of time you wait because you don't want to be too pitchy, or do you actually incorporate? Like, what's the best way to take them?
Sorry, I forgot to address that. So the approach that I've always taken, and I've never had any pushback on it at all, is making an offer literally right after they enter. So right away on that thank you page, just taking them right to an offer. So you want to think about how you're structuring that in terms of revenue versus sharing, because if you have more than one thing on that page, obviously you're going to get distracted results. So you may want to think about that. You may want to have the sharing on the thank you page and then immediately follow up with a thank you email that's got an offer in it. But I made an offer immediately after they entered. And then we would make offers all throughout the contest. So on every single one of those announcements of, hey, such and such just won, there would be a deal too. So such and such just won. We've got a new drawing tomorrow, yada, yada. And then here's the deal of the day or the week or whatever it is.
I was thinking about doing something like that, especially not just for me, but from like partners or sponsors or whatever. Yep. So that's really cool. So do you have like a link to one of your local ones or something I could look at just so I can see it in action? Like you have.
I'm sorry, do I have what?
Example? Do you have like an example of one of the ones you've run?
Oh, I'm sure I can dig up the e-commerce one. If you give me a little bit here, I can dig it up.
Yeah, awesome.
But I will tell you right now, it was literally nothing sophisticated at all. This was quite a while ago, and like ClickFunnels was like just coming out and stuff like that. So like your presentation of this already looks 10,000 times better than what we did. Our thank you page was literally like a thank you. Here's how to share to get more entries. Buy this thing.
Okay. Wow. Interesting.
But it worked, and a lot of the sales came off of that initial thing. So what we would do is we just make, hey, it's this very special offer to thank you for entering the contest, countdown timer, like all that kind of stuff. But then throughout the competition, again, we were doing some sort of special offer. So ours was around the holidays. So obviously, it was buying gifts for people. Here's a special offer of the day on these products. And every single day we did a new offer.
Okay. That's good. Yeah. Okay. That's great. Well, thank you. Yeah. That's huge. Yeah. Because we are thinking about incorporating more deals. And I think that goes more naturally if I position it that way. Like that way it's a benefit. It's not too salesy. And what we are doing is actually a 40% joint venture, like affiliate. So anyone that promotes, like a contributor, if they promote it to their own list because they're giving away their own stuff, we'll actually give them 40% of the software sales because there's so much margin there. There's a lot to work with. So.
That's really cool. So what are you doing? What's like your grand prize? I didn't pay attention really when I was looking through there.
Well, we're still getting the partners, but we have Audio Technica, we have Strive, something I forget that, but a bunch of gear. So it's gonna be gear, and so it's gonna be like a podcast starter kit. So it's like here's the gear, here's the hosting, here's tickets, like all the prizes we're gonna aggregate together for the grand prize. So it'll be worth at least 10 to 20 grand, I would think.
Okay, cool. Because what I was gonna say is something you may want to consider when are you launching this?
I was a little over ambitious, so I was looking into it like in a couple weeks, but I'm thinking it'll probably be closer to September at this point.
So one of the things you might want to consider, what I did at Everon was I did way before funnels and viral, any of that type of stuff, but we did a a small business IT makeover. So it was like a $50,000 prize. It was like, we're going to come in and completely revamp small businesses network, do all the work that would normally be done, set up new computers, set up a phone system, all that type of stuff. So it was a big deal. And so we got these partner vendors to, hey, you'll be the telecom guy, and we're going to have your brand all over it, but you got to do the telecom work. You're going to be the, whatever. And then so what we were then able to do was charge sponsors in the community that want that audience that were not necessarily directly related to the actual grand prize. So a local bank, right, was like a major sponsor of that whole thing. And so we were able to sell that major sponsorship for like 10 grand, second sponsorship for like 5 grand, and then multiple sponsors for like 2 grand, as like the bronze tier or whatever. So, we pulled in like 30 grand in sponsorship revenue that paid for everything that we were doing and then some.
Wow.
So, there you can do that type of thing as well. With what you're doing. Gosh, I mean, there's got to be so many brands out there that would be interested in that exposure.
Yeah.
That you may just want to consider, making that as a part of the deal as well.
Yeah, we are looking to get sponsors. Like those logos on there wasn't a joke. I actually got some meetings with Google and like some
Awesome.
big players. So we'll see.
I love it, man. I love it. I love the hustle. Let me know when it's all put together so I can take a look at it, and if there's if it makes sense for me to share it with my audience and stuff like that, I would love to do that.
Oh, that'd be amazing. Yeah, I'll definitely keep you abreast as we go. And I'm just taking one step at a time because it is overwhelming, but I'm just breaking it down one thing at a time. So, but thanks for the feedback. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, I love it, man. It's awesome. Keep it up.
Thanks.
All right, Jeff says, how do you handle existing clients when they are paying you more for services that you are rolling out as services that scale? Good question. So Jeff is asking, so I've got some customers that are already paying, an agency customer that's paying me $2,000 a month, but I'm about to roll out a services that scale version of it that's going to be, $497 a month or $297 a month or something like that. So Jeff, I think that, one, you've got to take a careful look at what you're rolling out, and does the agency version, the higher price version that you're offering, have any real differentiation from the lower price version? I would assume it does. If it doesn't, then you've got a decision to make. So if it does, you just need to be sure that you're ready to really highlight that to your existing customer, right? Say, hey, look, you're going to see this. Just want to make sure you know real clear what the differences are between what we're doing for you now and what this is, because the language around it is going to sound very similar. I don't want you to get offended, right? So, but if it's not real clear that there is a big difference between them that would justify the increase that they're paying you, then I would, you've got a decision to make. Either your decision is, hey, Mr. Agency customer, the great news is we're changing our model. We found a more scalable way to deliver our services. You're about to get a great big fat discount. Thank you, very much for being a customer. And of course they'll be thrilled. But if you want to maintain that pricing for a period of time to, keep some additional cash in your pocket, then I would look at, well, what can I add to what I'm doing to them to make sure that they feel, the differentiation, right? So, and if you want to talk about specifically what the services are, I can try and give you some more specific feedback. But I think that's generally kind of the plan of attack there, in the decisions that you have to make. See here, Joe says, new to the group. Welcome, Joe. Good to see you. Ex-agency owner turned sales full-time. Awesome. Helping out agency selling marketing to small HVAC companies, less than 30 employees. Hook equals $5K IRS tax credit for website ADA compliance. Cool. That's awesome. Website as a service model using R4 audit as sales process. Looking for general advice on how to best target less than 30 HVACers, messaging, etc. Okay, cool. That's awesome. I like everything that you're saying, Joe. That's some cool sounding stuff. And welcome to the group and welcome to the call.
Thank you.
Yeah, you bet. So let's see here. So website as a service model using R4 audit as the sales process. Okay, so is that so website as a service model using R4 audit as the sales process? Okay, is this you're going to get somebody on the phone and then you're going to go through the audit with them? Is this something that you're going to send them like an online survey and have them take it? Tell me a little bit more about what you have in mind there.
Well, that's exactly, we're in the development phase of this and just putting it together. So I'm trying to figure out that flow. Our general idea is we have some appointment setters. They're going to do the outreach regarding the 5K tax credit hook. And then they would say, would it be worth an appointment to talk to one of our advisors? Then we'd get on the phone with them and do like a discovery call to first find out if they would qualify for the tax credit. Second, to talk a little bit about their marketing, because what we're offering is not only making their website ADA compliant, but we're also putting a foundational marketing package kind of bundled with that to bring it up to like a 2K per month service. So the sales process that I was thinking is we'd do a discovery call, and then if we thought we could help them, we'd send them to the R4 marketing survey and then do a strategy and sales call and then close the deal. So that's kind of what I had planned, but I was just looking for some general advice from you.
Cool. And what price point are you anticipating?
There's going to be a $9.95, a $19.95, and a $29.95 package.
Oh, okay, cool. And that's monthly recurring?
Yes, monthly recurring.
Okay, good. Well, then you have the price points to justify, being able to offer that sales process with the whole audit and strategy call and all that good stuff. Cool. Okay,
Right,
good.
right.
Okay, so if that's the case, so Michael's asking what is an R4 audit. Michael, that's based off of my R4 sales system, which is a sales system for agencies. So the 4 R's stand for reputation, reach, resell, and referral. So essentially the idea behind the R4 sales system is that there are these 4 marketing systems that if your business optimizes, it's going to grow. Optimizing a system around your reputation, around how you're reaching new prospects, around how you're reselling existing customers, and how you're generating referrals, okay? That was originally created a dozen years ago now, and so now, you can mix in there, reactivation, retargeting, right? It's amazing how the R's have still worked, but it's really just meant to be a very nice, kind of simple, direct conversation framework to allow you to sell anything around marketing services. You could tell me any marketing service, and I could pitch it using that framework. So there's an audit that I've included that helps really expose to the business owner these gaps in what they're doing, that are essentially the leaks in their bucket that are, taking away opportunities and revenue and profitability from them that they could, work with you to get straightened out. So I really like, Joe, I like everything that you're talking about. I like that $5,000 tax credit hook. And then the R4 audit. So yeah, typically the way, if you're taking somebody through that full audit, the way that I have always done that, now keeping in mind that I got started with that before a lot of like the, easy online survey technology even existed. But I would have the prospecting done like you're talking about. We would get an initial sales call on there. So if you look at the R4 framework, and it's got the series of different calls, but the initial call, kind of a qualifying call, right? And we're making sure that we're on the same page as to what the opportunity is. I'm sharing with them what the price of our services are, at least in a range. I'm saying, hey, our services are between $9.95 and $29.95 a month, depending on the specific needs of our customers. Is that a range that you're comfortable with? So we're making sure that we've got a qualified prospect. And then if we do, then I'd say, great, Joe, well, as a next step, what we do with our prospects is we take them through this R4 audit, which helps us get a very clear picture as to what the opportunities are to help you improve, what you're doing and start generating more business. The audit will take you about an hour to complete, but it's going to give you a lot of great insights about your business. Is that something that you're comfortable with? Yes. Okay, cool. So then what we would do is we would send them that audit, and I would suggest, of course, now that's a digital, it's just a survey. That I would build it right inside of HighLevel if you're using HighLevel, and that way it's just billing in right into that customer's account. And then I would schedule a call. On that first call, schedule my next call to review the results of that audit and then do the final pitch, right? So key, so anybody who's relatively new to sales, right, or could just use a brush up, is on that first call, you always schedule the next step. Never leave that hanging out there. So you schedule that next step, and then it's their job in between today's call and when you have that next call scheduled to complete that audit. You will be able to see when they complete the audit, of course, because the system will trigger you when it's done. And so you have the opportunity to send them reminders and even do some reminder phone calls and stuff like that if they haven't completed it as you're coming up on the due date for that next call. I think that there's also opportunity to use the kind of summary version of the R4 audit. And so when I say that, I have done the R4 audit where there's the general section down at the bottom, where I'll take that general section and I'll take like the first 2 questions from each of the other sections and make a much shorter audit. So then it's just like, 10 questions or something like that. I think that you could also use that as more like a lead gen mechanism. So depending on how you're getting traffic and how you're getting visibility, that might be something that could help you get some more leads coming in your funnel. You could have that on your website where it's you've seen these quiz funnels and all that type of stuff that are out there, survey funnels. They can be very effective. And so you could make the pitch of, hey, Mr. HVAC owner, are you leaving money on the table? Take this quick survey and the results are going to tell you your opportunities to improve, yada, yada. So you could use that as like a lead gen version of that. So you could just create that as an online form that's on your website, publicly available. So those are, generally my thoughts on how I would use that and take advantage of that. But the process really does not change whether if they came in off of that first survey, it would still be, hey, that's awesome, you did the survey. There's clearly some opportunities. Let's get you on the first call. First call is a brief, more qualifying call. Hey, Joe, now that you've done that one, we have a more complete survey. It's going to give you much more detail about your business. If you thought that was interesting, wait until you do this one. Do this one. We have our next call. We pitch our services.
That helped quite a bit. It reinforced that. I guess I learned something from you because that's pretty much how I had it planned out.
Awesome.
So thank you for that.
Good.
And I like the shortened version as kind of a lead magnet approach. My only other question, do you or anybody else on the call have any suggestions on how to build a targeted list of small HVAC companies? Is there a database that you can generate a list through employee size? Any suggestions on that?
Yes. So yes, you can buy a list of any industry by any qualifier that you can imagine. So yes, you can absolutely do that. And I can't give you a specific answer for that industry, but what I would tell you, what I would do is I just start Googling, and you're going to come up with HVAC business owner list, database, whatever. I mean, literally just start punching that into Google. You're going to start coming up with some options of things to contact and find what you're looking for. But yeah, you'll be shocked at the list that you can buy and all the different details you can get about them. I would also, for that industry, absolutely look at trade associations and trade shows and see what's available there. So trade association newsletters, trade association events, conferences, things like that you could go to. And then I would look at, I personally would also expect that direct mail in that industry, might be your best friend over digital options, so I would definitely, consider that as a outreach mechanism. And I think that's pretty much it. So some folks are putting in, yeah, awesome. John says LinkedIn, Reference USA. Howard says Sales Navigator for employee size. Chris Ann says our public library offers free access, A to Z databases.com. That's cool. Info USA says Dorn. And John says HVAC consultant / power partner. What is that, John? Do you want to explain a little bit more about what that is? I'm not sure I understand that reference.
Yeah. So, hey, what I mean is someone that works with an HVAC company for like maybe operations, they'll consult for how to do operations, but they don't do marketing. So what I would suggest, Joe, is look for somebody who's out there talking to HVAC companies every day, right? So I'm sure there's people that you can talk to or find that deal with or talk to HVAC companies that are saying, hey, we can help you organize your accounting. We can help you with your operations. And then what you do is you talk to them and say, hey, would it be okay if I refer business to you if I talk to HVAC companies? They're like, oh, okay, great. And then they're going to say, well, what do you do? Say, well, I do this. And then, sometimes make it conversational. Don't make it one-sided, but really talk, find that person who's out there talking to HVAC companies every day that you can have a win-win relationship with.
Right.
Yeah.
That's a great idea. Thank you so much, guys. I appreciate all your help.
Yeah, that's great advice. Absolutely. The other thing I would just add to that reminds me of is anything in these kind of home improvement or anything like that, I would look at opportunities with your local Home Depot and Lowe's and things like that, or any wholesale suppliers of parts and equipment related to that business. They oftentimes have, programs that are for those industries locally. So, you could look at, is there some sort of partnership that you could do with a local, Home Depot, Lowe's, stuff like that to access that market and market, to those partners. And the other thing I got to say is I've known several people, and I had some degree of a version of this in Everon. But I know lots of people who have done really well in those marketplaces by throwing their own local events related to those things and doing kind of, most of the people in those industries tend to be men, and they tend to be kind of a little bit, kind of good old boys, kind of, pickup truck driving and, that type of thing. And I know a number of guys who have done like local golf and beer events at their local golf course, where they're then inviting all the HVAC, industry people to that event, and they're getting some sponsors, kind of like what Tony was doing with his giveaway, and do really, really well as a way of introducing themselves to those marketplaces that way. And you've got a price point that you can easily justify it. Like if you can get, just a handful of customers out of an event like that, then you can really justify it, because those events are not expensive to hold on a local basis. So Everon, we used to do a golf tournament. We did a golf tournament for a handful of years in a row, and that was a super successful way for us to meet local businesses, and it's fun. And I feel like the HVAC guys, that's the kind of thing that they respond to versus, going to some, office lunch and learn type of thing, right? It's more, oh, these guys invite us to the golf course and they're giving away a new, driver and it's free beer and, like that type of thing. So just something to throw out there.
Yeah, it might be axe throwing instead of golf,
Yeah.
but
Yeah, there you go.
I like where you're going with that.
Awesome. Well, cool. Good luck with it all. Keep me posted.
Thank you. Will do. Appreciate it, guys.
You bet. Let's see here. Vince says, hi, Professor Cooch. Any pre-launch details you can share on how to sell free websites as a service? Yeah, so Vince, I'll do similar to what I've done in the other services that scale, Mastermind, service playbooks there. So there's going to be a playbook. It's going to be some prospecting material, phone scripts, prospecting email campaign, more of a newsletter style campaign, creating some ad templates for you. I'm going to do some page templates, snapshots in HighLevel. So that pretty much covers it. What I'm not doing, and I'll have a little bit on service fulfillment, just based on our own processes of how we created those websites at scale when we did this at Kutenda. I'm not going to go into depth on that because it is different in HighLevel than it was when we did it in WordPress, but it's easier in HighLevel, and so I don't feel like I need to go into the depth of it just yet. But I will give you at least some best practices around service delivery process on that as well. Howard says, on sales page for GoHighLevel services, some of the stats are buried in text block, i.e. 97% website visitors leave after 5 minutes, chances of connection. Or should that be covered in content marketing along with origin story? Howard, you want to chat with me about this one a little bit?
Sure. Are we, doing a typical sales page where we're sort of aggravating the pain at the beginning? Or if they're on that page, they've already gotten there via ads or content where we're talking about some of the pains or angles, and as well as, there's really nothing about me on the page until they get through the funnel. The last page is sort of a proof page, with testimonials, reviews, and something about me in my story. So, I'm just thinking about the traffic that I'm sending as I'm prospecting. There are people there that really, I'm attracting with content, and the content doesn't necessarily go into all those things.
Yeah. So right now, Howard, that latest page that you created, is that part of a site or is that page standalone?
Standalone lander.
Okay. So if it's a standalone lander, I would try and put some about us in there as well, for sure. Ideally, I would make that a part of an overall site as well. So you have an about us page and all that good stuff on there. Okay. So I would use the, either build it all in HighLevel, or if you already have a WordPress site, just use the connector, right, to publish that page up on the website, so it's all part of one site. But I would do, if it is going to be a standalone page, I would put some about us in there, definitely. And then, yes, in terms of agitating the pain and some of those stats, yeah, you definitely, the answer is both. You definitely want to have those on your sales page for sure. And you want to be using those in your marketing. So if you go, in the leverage selling, we talk about the power statements, right? And so your power statements are going to be based around those stats and some of those pain points. And so, yeah, you're going to want to be, using those all the time in your marketing. But it would be good, from consistency and message perspective, of course, for them to see that once they get to your page. And then if they haven't experienced very much that messaging yet before they get to your page, it'd be good to have it there as well. So I would make sure that we're doing both.
Okay. I'm calling the system. I've sort of landed on Leads Connect Pro is the system.
Yep.
And the site greet is what I'm calling the web chat bubble.
Yep.
So rather than calling the whole system that's an element in the system. Mm-hmm. And my agency Clicks Local is showing up in a lot, other places in the testimonials, that kind of stuff. So it's, I'm trying not to get too many things in there to confuse, but I think that's manageable. Rather than calling it a web chat and now everybody, it's a web chat,
Yeah.
Now they can compare that So this way I'm sort of naming some of the elements with proprietary names. And I got some good images as I posted in the group where I am having people and happy people using, with an overlay of a screenshot. This way they can say, oh, that's the relating to that campaigns, this and that. So it's coming together, albeit a bit slow, but it's there's a lot to it. So
there's a lot to it, and you've come a long way. And to build a page like that, believe me, I mean, I get it. I think that's almost some of the hardest work that you have to do, because to build a page like that, you're having to get clarity on everything. Because if you're going to put this page out there for everybody to look at and try and communicate, the value proposition, the services and things like that, you have to think through all of those things to be able to communicate them clearly. So it is a lot of work. So, and you made a point there that I want to stress for everybody, is that you've got to name your things, right? You've got to decommoditize everything that you're offering in every way. So, Howard was talking about, he had created some new images around these follow-up campaigns that he was marketing as a part of his service on his site. And so we don't want to just have follow-up campaigns, right? Again, it's all about differentiation, and it's all about creating a perception of uniqueness in the mind of the customer, that Howard's got something that I can only get from Howard, right? So those follow-up campaigns, you want to give them a name, right? Those campaigns should have a name. They should have some description around them that's powerful, so that, whatever Howard's, 5-step, roofer profit surge campaign is, I got to get my hands on that, right? It's not just a follow-up campaign, right? So yeah, you've got to, the number one rule of strategy in business is differentiation, right? So anything that you can do there in naming those components in a way that is uniquely yours and communicates some value and differentiation is critical.
All right, cool. And I had another. So do you think we need to make the sites ADA compliant?
I think that it sounds like it's a good thing to do. I honestly don't know the first thing about that. Joe can probably tell us. I don't know the first thing about it, but it sounds like, I think it's one of those things that Google is probably evaluating it in terms of how they're ranking things and stuff like that. Joe, you want to comment on that?
Well, there was a course in a WordPress plugin that was recently launched, and I think that they also give you the option of pasting a little JavaScript in there, so to make any site compliant. Is that correct, Joe?
I remember seeing something about that as well. Yeah.
I'm not familiar with the WordPress plugin that does it for you, and from the limited knowledge that I have, it is starting to be a big deal. I don't know if Google's penalizing it yet. There have been some lawsuits. However, they're not going after little guys. They're going after big companies. But that tax credit is available to any company that has either less than 1 million in revenue or less than 30 employees. If you make your website ADA compliant, you write off 50% of it up to 10 grand. And that's a tax credit right off the bottom. So I know it is getting more press, and it is a quote requirement according to the ADA legislation, but I don't think anybody's in real trouble of getting sued anytime soon. If that helps.
That would be my guess as well. It's kind of like all of the other things that are out there, right, about being CAN spam compliant and all that type of stuff. It's the threat of lawsuit is usually not a big deal, but it's usually some of the influential vendors that will find a way of holding you accountable that will penalize you, search engine ranking, inability to advertise on their network if you don't have it, things like that. I wouldn't be surprised to see that stuff, start rolling out more from some of the different, ad platforms and stuff like that we work with.
And one more point on this websites as a service. Given that plugin, the city service plugin for the city pages, I think that really leans towards doing a WordPress version of the site if you can sell that, the city pages, because I think a lot of these I'm seeing that crop up more and more. I had a city service request a month ago, and I just did a little side project on that with a different plugin. We had like 75 number one rankings without any link building or anything.
Yeah.
So it was, it's probably, it's not going to bring in a flood necessarily of calls, but it's a good angle, a good hook, a good arrow in your quiver to get that, offer that.
Yeah, definitely. And so whether the like WordPress versus like HighLevel, to me, if I was focused on that strategy, I would look at it both, honestly. So if I was doing like a city pages thing, absolutely the WordPress, right? If I was doing then individual URLs around, so New York IT support, that type of thing, then I would build that out on a HighLevel site and I would incorporate it into the marketing tools and things like that. So, but it's an awesome strategy.
Yeah, but can you combine the HighLevel via the WordPress plugin to an extent that you can sort of have the best of both worlds?
For sure. What I would do, just off the top of my head, but what I would do is I would use the WordPress to build the city directory, more, the city site. And then on each of those pages, I'd be linking out to a HighLevel site that was related to the specific search terms. That's the way I would look at it.
Okay. All right. Thanks.
Yep. Let's see here. Al says, how are you reaching out to prospects when you were selling your Kutenda free website services, and what was the sales process like? Cool. So yeah, there's a lot of good history and learning and education from this one. So the way that we were reaching prospects for Kutenda is exactly the way that I tell all you guys to do it. So one is we were using channel partners. So anybody who already had our base of customers, we were tapping into them to try and get a promotional relationship with them. And that was typically an educational relationship. So in other words, we'd come up with a good free educational webinar and we'd say, hey, let us run this to your audience. So in our particular case, we were going after IT service providers. So IT service providers were using all kinds of software tools already, as part of their business. Those software tools manufacturers would love to see those IT service providers grow because then they would sell more of their software license, right? So we'd go to those software providers and we'd say, hey, we've put together a great training on how IT service providers can grow using these marketing strategies. We can deliver it for free to your audience, And so they would run webinars for us, let us run webinars to their audience. And so we would do that to grow and get our name out there in the marketplace. And then we would run our own webinars and content marketing, just like, of course, I tell all you guys, to do content marketing and run your own webinars and post on social media and all that good stuff. And then from that, we were making a pitch, and we had a handful of different things. So we had first, we had just like a lead magnet download, so get a white paper on X, Y, and Z. And then we had an offer for our services that we would run on the back of those webinars. So since you're here on the webinar, I want to introduce you to our services. We do X, Y, and Z. if you get in contact with our sales team now, book a time with our sales team. You can save X% on the services if you sign up in the next 30 days as a thank you for being on the webinar. They would go and book a time with our sales team. We do a sales call. And we would always try and close right there on that first call because our services were not very expensive. And if we couldn't, then we would schedule a second call while we were on that first call and aggressively, try and go for a close on that second call. So that was the sales process. And then if they didn't buy on any of those, we'd, follow up until they buy or die, right? So they're just in our follow-up sequences and we're just following up like crazy. So the website as a service thing, or the free website thing, became an offer because we were selling people on our services, but we were finding that there was struggles in our service delivery or struggles in the perception of our value of our services associated with them oftentimes having a terrible website, right? So here we are trying to drive visibility to their website for them, but their website was a disaster. It didn't have contact us forms. It didn't have any lead magnet. It didn't have, visible phone numbers. I mean, just all the basics, right, that you would want on that site. At least 75% of the companies that we were dealing with had major flaws with their websites. And so out of desperation in cases, we were so good at creating websites. It was so easy for us. We were like, gosh, just tell Howard we'll build him a new website. His website sucks. Like, just tell him we'll just build him a new website. And so we did that, and people were like crazy appreciative of it. They were like, seriously? Like, you'll build me a new website? And we'd show them and we'd be like, yeah, it'll look like this. It'll have these features. Yeah, please. That's incredible, right? So the value proposition was so intense that we were like, geez, can we do this at scale? Like, if we could offer everybody free websites, that would make our core services more effective because they'd have websites that were actually working, right? And so we came up with this offer and said, hey, look, we'll build you a free website. You just got to sign up for hosting through us, right? $97 a month. And, even though we were having to build those through WordPress and we had to pay for hosting and all that stuff, it still made sense for us to do it because we were converting everybody into customers and we were getting a $97 a month hosting fee. We were probably paying $7 a month for hosting and pocketing the rest, so it worked out, but the majority of those then end up becoming customers of our services. So the website, the free website offer was an amazing follow-up offer at first, right? It was a follow-up offer to everybody who was on our list, but then we turned that into a lead offer that we were marketing out there in the marketplace because it was so attractive and because people get it. They get it so easily and clearly, the value proposition, right? Oh, geez, a free website? They understand that much more than SEO and, content marketing and all this type of stuff. So, but that was the process. Now, the sales process on the free website ultimately turned into a, here's a form, put in your credit card and pay. And then we'll set up your free website because it's just easy. It's so easy to understand. And once you have some proof of what the websites will look like and you have a handful of testimonials out there, the any apprehension around thinking it's a scam or anything like that will go away. And so then you'll be able to just sell these websites just by marketing. Just, running ads, sending email blasts, free website, blah, blah, go here to sign up. And people will just go and sign up. It's not expensive. It's $97 on a credit card. So very, very low risk for them. And they'll just go and just buy them. And especially if you're marketing them with some scarcity, we can only do, 15 of these a month, 25 of these a month, whatever it is. So people want to get in line as soon as they can. So that was how we sold 320 of those or so in 1 month. And again, the majority of those ended up becoming customers of our other services. So it was just a massive, boom for us. And Al, if there's anything else specifically I can answer related to that, just let me know. Paul, yeah, go for it.
Hey, Mike. Hi. Nice to see you again.
Absolutely. Good to see you.
Good. I've got a quick question regarding launch offer. I've managed to cobble together my 3 packages based on the welcome mat and implementing some high-level stuff and also some added extras to try and make it different. But I'm just looking at a launch offer, free trial, 14-day trial, 30-day trial, £1 payment, 0. What's your experience on what is a good sort of trial offer? What works well? Is it good to get any sort of payment of somebody, get the credit card on file? HighLevel are offering this $100 setup. If I offer somebody a free trial, can I then say to them, oh, actually, it's, I mean, in the UK, I could say £100 or 90 cents, and I'd still clear, wipe my nose on it anyway. So that's really what I'm thinking. Have you got any advice on a good launch offer which gets people to use it and stick, really, I suppose?
Yeah, good question. So my personal experience, so one, yes, get the credit card. Awesome, thanks, Mark. Thanks for being with us. Get the credit card up front and have them put in a payment, right? Put in a payment device. And typically what that means is there's going to be at least, like $1 charge or something like that. But yes, I think that that's fantastic. And because I don't want to have to chase people down for payment. And I think that there's just a different psychology when you have to put in your information. There just is. There's a different degree of commitment to it. So personally, yes, I would make sure that you get the payment right away. And then in terms of the length of the trial, I like 14 days as a default, but I would base it on what is it going to take for them to see and experience the value of the service. So if the service is something that's going to take, like in 14 days, are they really going to have an opportunity to get the thing set up and use it or whatever? 14 days may not be enough. So maybe then you go to 30 days. There's no scenario where I would go longer than 30 days. And in most cases, like I said, I think 14 days is going to be good. But again, if you have some service that's just like, hey, we just can't, there's no way that we're going to get them to experience the benefit of the service in that period of time. That also being said, if you're selling more of a tool, so you're selling, just like the reputation capabilities or something like that, or the universal inbox, that type of thing, then really the trial is just, it's just to get them over the hump, right, and get them in there. There's really very, very little that they have to experience to know whether or not they should keep on paying for the dang thing, right? Like, so, it's more just like, hey, I just want to have a way of getting in there and doing a final check of the features to make sure it's what I thought before I start getting charged. You know what I mean? Like if it's a tool, it's really that's all it's about. It's just kind of doing that final check of things. So I would not worry about making it longer than 14 days in that case in any scenario. I hope that helps. I would keep it on the shorter side and collect payment up front. Collect payment device up front.
So how would you manage the high-level setup fee for me to pass on?
Yeah, so I think that depends on, again, what is it that you want them to experience? What is the service, and what is your price point from the service, and how are you getting people into those trials? And the thing to kind of complete that thought is, if I'm getting you into that trial by us having a sales conversation process, so you and I are on the phone, hey Paul, blah, blah, I've done my qualifying conversations, and you're going, yeah, I think this is something that I'm really interested in. Well, awesome, Paul. It sounds like at this point, what we can do is, let's just set you up on a free trial, 14 days. We won't charge you anything, but we'll get you going up and running on the platform. Of course, that's gonna, we're gonna have some costs associated with that, because I'm gonna have my team set you up and all that good stuff. So I would ask that if you take advantage of this offer, that you're seriously intending on moving forward, as long as there's no major gaps with the tool. And if that's the case, we'll go ahead and get you set up. We won't charge you for 14 days. Anytime in those 14 days you feel like you've discovered something that's not a good fit, just let me know, and no problem, we'll cancel. Does that sound good? And so that is a different process of getting you on the trial than just having a free trial hanging on my website and letting anybody, just sign up for a free trial, right? It's a much more qualified prospect. And so if that's the case, I would be personally making the assumption, I'm going to sign you on as a customer, and I want to make sure that onboarding process is as good as possible. And so I would invest that $100 in HighLevel myself for the setup, or do the setup myself with my own team, whatever, and make sure that goes really well. And the $100 is well spent, because you will be recovering that from the fact that you got a new customer very quickly, right? But if it was, let's say that you're just hanging a free trial out on your website, and in order for them to actually get the experience of that, they need to go through that $100 setup, I would personally put a step in between. So they sign up for the free trial. What that immediately does is it triggers a follow-up from you saying, hey, Paul, I noticed that you signed up for a free trial. That's awesome. We'd love to get you set up. I just need to hop on a phone call with you real quick for 15 minutes. Yada, yada. You get them on the phone, and you do your qualifying and make sure that they're a legit prospect. And if they're not a legit prospect, I would just say to them, hey, you know what? I'm sorry, Paul. Just based on the conversation here, though, it doesn't seem like a free trial is going to be a great investment for us right now. It does, cost us money to have our team set up these accounts for you, and I don't think you're quite a good fit for the service, So you just pull the offer for the trial at that point.
I see. Okay. So, I mean, based on the welcome mat, sort of like the minimum viable, the low package on that, would you still have that call with people, or would you be looking at almost like an automated, it's just you're waking up and it's a few people have signed up sort of thing? Is the price point, I know they're paying it over a long period, so there is a value, a lifetime value for that customer to put the effort in up front, rather than just think of it as $47 or whatever it is, sort of thing, I suppose.
Yeah. So I would personally today, if I was personally putting out that as an offer today, I would do a phone call.
You would, okay.
Yeah. I mean, unless you figure out some marketing process where you're just like getting volumes of free trials that you can't possibly do phone calls to everybody. But for most of us, that's pretty unlikely. I would do a call for two reasons. One, because you're going to have the opportunity to connect with that prospect and qualify and learn about them and understand them and all that good stuff, which is just good business anyway, at this point when you're getting started. And then two, you're going to learn a ton about what's the right way to onboard that customer by having some of those conversations with them as well. So I personally think anybody who's just, launching anything, just getting started with anything, like you want to get your hands dirty, right? I mean, we can't go from zero to everything automated and perfect and sunshiny on day one. We got to be willing to get our hands dirty, and that's all going to pay off in doing that. So I would personally put that phone call in there. And then over time, you may find, hey, you know what? We don't need that phone call. We've got this thing all dialed in now. It's not necessary. Great, take it out.
Okay, yeah, that does make a lot of sense actually. Okay, great. So just quickly moving on from that, would you, I've got the three options. So would you give them the middle package as the trial, and then if they didn't, there's a downsell option, or you just give them the option to the smaller welcome intro package as such?
What's the difference between the packages? How do you
differentiate? So the small package is the price point is about £97 at the moment, and that is based on the welcome mat. I've added the convert, the exit pop-up, stroke, gamification pop-up as an extra, and I've also got a directory website, so they get a page on the directory website included, and there's text to payment, that sort of thing. There's a couple of smaller, high-level options in there. I think the reputation's in there. The middle package is where I start adding the email capabilities of HighLevel, the inbox, universal inbox, that sort of thing. Now, the middle package only, there's no sort of marketing stuff that's being done. It's purely just high-level additions. The top package, my prime package, I start adding in social media management and some content marketing. So that's at $497. So there's the three sort of packages. So I thought if I led with the lower one, it's a foot in the door, it's the welcome mat in theory. Or do I lead with the middle one, and then if they have a conversation after 28 days, and there's a downsell option to the smaller one. I don't know whether I'm overthinking it and just get one of them out there.
Yeah, so I would personally consider a couple of things here, and the answer I would have for you is both. So if you have your packages up on your website, and somebody is coming to your website, and they are digging into your second package, package B, and they're going, yeah, this is really what I want. This is awesome. And you have a free trial option there, great. But it is unlikely that I would be proactively marketing that as a free trial, because I think the complexity of it is going to be hard to do, much harder to do outbound marketing around, versus if you have a free trial around something that's just super simple, just like one clear concept, the welcome mat, right? Like just one clear concept, and just we're going to do a free trial for that thing. It's much more marketable, right? So I would do both, but if we're talking about the proactive marketing of one or the other, I would simplify it as much as possible and just keep it laser focused on one value proposition.
Okay, because I think you're spot on, because I was speaking to some people earlier in the week, and universal inbox, they have no idea what that means.
Totally.
No, and these are people who are actually in my sort of peer marketing, not a clue what that meant. So I think
exactly.
It certainly dawned on me that keep it as simple as possible, really.
Exactly. And this is so important. I'm glad we're having this conversation, because I think everybody can benefit from it. Is you got to think about the total life cycle of how you're marketing and selling these customers. Okay, so Howard and I were on a conversation. What was it yesterday? I think Howard, where Howard was saying, man, it's going to take a while for these 97s and 297s to stack up and mean much to me, because you got to get quite a few customers versus I can just sell one $5,000 thing to them. And when you're just getting started, and particularly when you're just thinking about selling as being this one-on-one engagement with a prospect, and then you sign them up for $97 a month, that's kind of like $97 a month, right? So and I'll just give you my own experience when selling HighLevel, right? I've been selling HighLevel now for over a year. Initially selling HighLevel, that's exactly what it was. And if I showed you my HighLevel numbers, right, like this, right? And it's because over time, the message has been repeated to enough over and over and over again. You're following up with additional value, with additional offers. You've got people on your list that have been hearing the message for 90 days, and now they're going, oh, okay, it's time. And so you start seeing things stacking up. And that's exactly the way it's going to work for you guys as well. But you got to think about the full life cycle and think about what are the right strategies at each point in the life cycle. And so what I mean by that is when you're reaching out to a cold audience, that message has got to be, it's got to be a laser shot right between the eyes. It's got to be clear. It's got to be simple. It's got to be easy to understand, right? So you can't have, all this complexity in there, right? You get somebody on an educational webinar, you can introduce a ton more complexity because now you've got them in a situation where you've got them paying attention to you for an hour, and you can explain what the heck a universal inbox is and why it's so important and how much value it adds to the business. And now you can get that through our tools, okay? And then you still have 85%, 90%, whatever the people that came to that webinar that didn't buy anything from you, but you've got them now tagged as that person clicked on this link showing interest in package B, right? This person clicked on the link showing interest in package C. And the brilliant thing with HighLevel, man, now, especially, with all the workflow stuff that they're doing, the business guy in me just becomes a total geek on this stuff. It's getting so powerful in your ability to, tag somebody as, hey, they spent time over here and clicked on these things, right? So you can then have follow-up over time that's going to the right people with the right message to then get some nice big bumps in sales. So Howard came to my webinar 3 months ago and expressed interest in package C, but didn't buy. He's been on our follow-up sequences. And then this month, I'm doing a special offer only for package C, only for people who've expressed interest in package C, right? So Howard and everybody else who's ever been on our list that's expressed interest in package C, who isn't a customer yet, is going to get a, hey, 20% off, sign up for package C today, or free trial for package C today, only this month, right? That type of thing. And you can now market that proactively because you're marketing it to somebody who's already been through your educational process. They've already been through the webinar. They've already been considering that package. Now that free trial can be marketed, and you're probably going to get a big pop of customers because you've got that base of people that are on your list. So when you think about that overall life cycle, does a free trial work for package C? It sure as heck can, as long as you're offering it to somebody who's already been educated and qualified and and is already aware of the benefits and understands the complexities of package C. But if you're taking package C and you're rolling it out as a cold traffic thing, it's going to be a total dud because nobody's going to understand what the heck you're talking about. Does that make sense?
Yeah, total sense. Really, really clear. Yeah.
Cool.
Thanks so much. I've just got one more question quickly.
Yeah.
Say, is there a way in HighLevel, say I built an opt-in landing page for 100 businesses in the same niche and travel, for example, and every month there was a monthly offer. Could I update the page and then push it out to all the 100 landing pages so that their page updated, so they didn't have to go in and do any editing? Is that possible?
Yeah.
Right. That was a quick answer. Thanks.
Yeah. No, yeah, it's awesome. So there's a couple of things that you can do. So if you have everybody set up, if you have all those pages set up via a snapshot through your system, then you can just push an update to the snapshot.
Okay, so with the travel, it would be, so for example, July, a special offer for a holiday to Florida, and then August, a special offer to a holiday to Paris.
Yeah.
So literally, I would go in and change the Florida picture to a Paris picture, change the text, the price, push it out to all 100 people, and their page would update with their information on using the custom values or the things like that. Yeah?
Exactly.
Wow, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
Super stuff. Yeah.
Just one final thing. Switzerland have gone out of the football, the soccer, as you call it.
They're out? Is that what you said?
Yeah, I saw a post today. You were posting about a guy getting upset about Switzerland coming in. Well, they've just gone out, so I thought I'd update you.
Oh, thank you, man. What time is it? Yeah, I meant to have it on in the background. I forgot. I've got it.
Excellent. Thanks so much, Mike.
Of course, thank you. I've got it on my calendar to watch England tomorrow. So.
8 o'clock as well. 8 o'clock UK time.
Yeah.
Good.
Awesome.
Thanks so much. Take care.
You bet. Let's see here. Herb says, how do you justify $97 monthly? Okay, hold on. Let me answer real quick 2 questions related to the free website thing before we get totally away from that. So Al says, how do you differentiate the free website offer, be it from ad or copywriting? Isn't it too difficult to compete with Squarespace or Wix? No, Al, they're typically going to be different customers. So what I mean by that is that, if you go through some of the training I've done in the past, talk about the 3 different buyers: tools buyers, systems buyers, and agency buyers. There's just a whole ton of businesses in your market that have no idea what Squarespace or Wix is. And they're not sitting around looking for Squarespaces and Wixes and trying to build their own website using any tool. Like that's a massive percentage of the market. So the person who's sitting down and doing that is it's typically just a different buyer. But the way that you differentiate is, really, if I was in a conversation and somebody was going, hey, Mike, I think I can do this with Wix, I would say, hey, look, more power to you if you want to do that. I'll just really quickly tell you that the benefits of us doing this for you is, 1, we are professional marketing and sales experts in your industry specifically. We know all of the best practices around websites in this industry. We're going to build websites that incorporate those best practices to help you get real results. That's not something that you're going to get from Squarespace or Wix. But if you're just trying to do this on the cheap, go for it. And then that would be the end of my pitch. And if they didn't immediately go, no, you're right. No, I need what you guys are doing, I would not spend 1 more second with them. Different buyer, different perception of the value proposition, and I would not waste my time. Herb says, how do you justify $97 monthly hosting charge with the free website offer? Is it based on the value of the features included in the website? By the way, are you able to offer a chat widget feature through the HighLevel sites? Yeah. So Herb, great question. So the $97 a month hosting. So first of all, if you're spending on business class hosting, you're going to be paying something more than just the $7 a month or whatever it is typically, right? If you're a business doing anything at all, I don't know how much you guys pay for hosting. I definitely pay way more than the $7 HostGators or whatever. I pay significantly more than the $97 a month. So depending on who it is that you're selling to, a $97 a month hosting cost is just an absolute. Of course I'm going to be spending $97 a month on hosting either way. But I do recommend that, again, the whole reason we're offering these free websites is as a hook, as a foot in the door with our HighLevel platform and the additional upsold services, right? So if you look at, here, hold on, let me just, let me do a quick share of my screen to pull up. And actually, hold on, before I share it, let me go over to my browser real quick and make sure I can get to where I'm going here quickly. Yeah, okay, here. So let me just share my screen real quick. So this is the slide from the packages from the presentation I did on the packages of a free website. So you can see here at this $97 a month, we're actually, the intention is to turn on and integrate a lot of these high-level features into the website experience, okay? So you've got, integration with the GMB messaging, web chat. You could include reputation management in there for sure, although that's an easy one to kind of upsell to. Facebook Messenger integration, GMB call tracking, missed call text back, having the website, obviously, having some CRM in there. So now people are getting this universal inbox for their website through HighLevel, right? And all of that then is coming into, your CRM platform. So, part of your pitch, and not part of your pitch, I mean, it should be a major focus of your pitch is, hey, we don't just build websites, right? We build effective sales and marketing sites for the chiropractic industry, okay? This is not just a pretty brochure on the web, okay? We make sure that this is an effective sales and marketing tool. And so what we are doing is we're building it in with these best practices, call tracking number, lead capture form, chat widget, and we're going to capture all of these leads for you that are now going to be visible through our platform in this universal inbox, so that now you're going to see your website actually going to work for you, and you're going to make sure that you have a way of following up with all of these people who are coming and reaching out to you. Because right now, Mr. Customer, you're probably getting opportunities on Facebook, GMB messaging, all this type of stuff. They're scattered all over, everywhere. You're probably not following up with things effectively because you don't even see them happening. We're going to make that all visible now, through this site that we're building for you. Okay? So that is a much more powerful value proposition. And again, it's all based on a foundation of we are sales and marketing experts for chiropractors. We build chiropractic sales sites, right? So that was what we called our websites at Kutenda sales sites. So this is not just a website. You guys have websites and they're not doing anything for you. This is a sales site. It's designed to, generate opportunities for you. And that's what we do. We are sales and marketing experts in this industry. This is just our foot in the door offer. Okay, cool, or good. So Al says $97 a month, including reputation management. So not including reputation management, but including your reputation widget feature built into their site and built into and available in your platform. I think you could go either way on that one. I think it's a very nice thing to have in there, but it's also a great, upsell, right? Al says, what's the widget? What I mean is that you can incorporate their reviews into their website, right? So if somebody leaves a review, then it can be published on their website automatically, right? So that's a super nice feature for a business that's not doing anything with their reviews or is having to manually try and cut and paste reviews and put them on their website and isn't getting it done, that type of thing. So you can have reviews automatically publishing on their site, that's a sexy feature. All right, Bart, go for it.
Hey Mike, how's it going?
I'm great. How are you?
Good. Hey, I got a chance to watch the little website tutorial, business tutorial this morning. I actually had a sales call at 10, so I was watching it this morning, and I love the idea of just a quick demo of showing how it actually works. Here's the web chat. So I had one installed on my website already. And I had him there, and we just logged in, and I showed him because he was kind of old school, just didn't understand the whole contact situation. He just thought it was going to be an email lead that comes through via email or whatever. And but yeah, thank you for that. That really helped seal the deal. So I closed one this morning. So that was cool.
That's awesome. I love it.
It's not in my chosen niche, but it was kind of thrown my way, so I figured I'd go with the website business. And that's what he wanted anyway, so I just went with the flow.
Cool.
I had a couple questions. One is, speaking of flow, I'd love your take on how to use that workflow, feature, or give us a little bit of presentation on that, because I'm still kind of, I understand it's a visual thing, and it was just last week that I realized that actually when you set it up, it is actually, you're implementing it within GoHighLevel. It's not just like to help you create an idea, it's actually working within the system and puts it together, right? So it's like once it's done, it's actually set up in the system. And then, which is super cool. I just love your take on that. I wanted to ask you on the website business model. I looked at the your instructional on it and stuff. What if they don't really have any significant traffic? You know, the last thing you want to do is sell them on all these, you know, special features and everything, and then it's like, you know, buying a Ferrari and not having any gas available. So, you know, you don't want to start pitching them traffic stuff because you're on a website, and a lot of these people that if they don't have a website, some reason they think, you know, you build it, they will come, you know, and you have to educate them and let them know, you know. But what we have here is more than just a road sign or a placeholder. But you know, you're going to have to send traffic to get it to work. So
yeah,
love
so
to hear your feedback.
I would personally, Bart, during my conversation with them, I would be doing a quick look to see if they're getting any traffic. And I would just address that right up front. And I would just say, hey, Bart, look, right now, you don't really have an effective website. And that's gonna, you know, cost you. No matter what you're trying to do from a sales and marketing perspective, everything that you're doing is going to be less effective. And so by putting this effective sales marketing site in place, you're going to have a really solid foundation for success. You're going to have all the resources and tools set up that you need, you know, to be successful in marketing your business. I got to tell you right now, I'm pulling up some stats and looking at it. You really don't have any traffic coming to your site right now, you know, anyway, right? Which is not a huge surprise to me because it's not a well-structured site. It's not well optimized, you know, yada, yada. And so unless you are proactively spending a lot of money on advertising to drive people here, there's not going to be a lot of action. So don't expect that, you know, getting a new website is all of a sudden going to create miracles overnight. You know, we're going to have some work to do to get you to some visibility. That's what our other services are all about. I'm not trying to pitch you on those today. I just want to make sure that, you know, you're realistic and you're aware of that. And, you know, that would be a conversation I'd have right there on day one. So that, you know, because you know right away there, are you dealing with a prospect that you want to be working with or not, right? Because if I'm having that conversation with you and you go, yeah, no, I totally get that. Yeah, that makes sense to me. And they go, yeah, that's cool. I'd definitely be interested in talking to you about the other services when the time comes. You know, let's get the website set up. Great. You know, let's go ahead and go for it, right? If they're like completely digging in their heels about, you're already trying to bait and switch me on blah, blah, I thought I was going to get a good website and you said it was going to help me grow my business, blah, 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 blah. Yeah. Then, you know, thanks, Bart. It's fun talking.
Good qualifier. Yeah, exactly. Yep. That's cool. So, yeah. Oh, sorry. My Skype's ringing off the hooks. So, all right. They won't give up. Sorry. Okay. And then the workflow. Can you talk about that a little bit? Maybe if it, you know, as it relates to the website business, maybe, but it doesn't necessarily have to be. I'd just like to hear your slant on it.
Yeah. Okay. So the workflow builder is just essentially a visual way of mapping all of your automation and campaign activity, like I said, in a visual way, which just makes it much, much easier, I think, for most people to design and process some more sophisticated approaches to their marketing and marketing automation, right? So that's what the workflow builder is. So if you think about anything where, you know, you mentioned, Bart, okay, how does this relate to the website? Okay, well, a very simple and obvious way based on some of the things that we're already talking about is if somebody came and entered their information into the chat widget on your website, you could then have a workflow that processes what happens with that contact after they've entered in their information into the chat widget. And that could be as sophisticated as you wanted it to be in that workflow. So if somebody comes in and contacts me, then they can get an immediate response. I could create an opportunity. I could then add them to the 7-step follow-up campaign of text messages. I could, you know, whatever. I could then add them to an email campaign if I got their email address. So that workflow is just your visual way of mapping all of that out. So the opportunities that this creates are really fantastic around if you're trying to create like a more complete marketing system for the X industry, right? Then what you can do is you can have a workflow that let's say it's the chiropractic reactivation campaign, right? You can have a workflow that is just the structured, dialed in version of everything that you want to have happen for a reactivation campaign for chiropractors. And then you're just now going to be able to take that and plop it down in each of your new chiropractic customers and turn it on and hit go. And you're going to have this sophisticated sequence, automation sequence around that reactivation, campaign.
That's not a snapshot. I mean, it's not it seems like.
No, it is.
It's a snapshot.
It is. It will be a part of your snapshot now. So just like in the past, like triggers were a part of your snapshot. Mm-hmm. So now I shouldn't say that, but in as a default, instead, what you do is create these workflows. Okay? So the workflows incorporate triggers and campaigns and anything that you want. So here's just a very basic one, but somebody submits a form on my website. I send them a follow-up email. I add them to a customer, that's supposed to be a custom audience. HighLevel has called this a customer audience, but it's a custom audience in Facebook. Add them to another custom audience in Facebook, wait, and then they exit the workflow. But this could be dramatically more sophisticated if I wanted it to be. I could add them to this workflow, then add them to another campaign, then create an opportunity in my dashboard. Then I could map all of that out visually here, and then not only can I map it all out, but now I can actually see what the heck is going on with it as well, right inside of this. Yeah. So
hey, how do you customize those? Like, you can't make a workflow based on something you don't already have back there. And like you got to have named campaigns and all those things, right? To build it, you got like the skeleton, so to speak. Is that correct?
Yes. So that's where the when we say it's not a replacement for X, Y, and Z, but yes. So what you would do is, again, in your snapshot, you'd have some landing pages, you'd have some forms, you'd have some campaigns that you've put together, right? And then so in your workflow is where you're tying all that together. So your workflow is, again, if you go back in here and just look at one of these workflows, so in my snapshot, I had forms, I had pages, I had campaigns, whatever. So now there's a form right here. So which form is it? Well, it's the form that I created called STS LM Offer Design Tool. Mm-hmm. So when they opt into that form, then these things happen. And then, I could hit this plus button and do, send them this campaign, right? So, but yeah, I have those things already created in the system. And this workflow is just tying them all together.
Okay. Interesting. So it is kind of an analogy of if you're looking at it as like a body or whatever, the skeleton is the the different campaigns and everything, and the workflow is kind of the outer wrapping, keeping it together.
Ties it all together. Yeah, and you can see they have these recipes in here, right? Already. So here's a recipe for a birthday workflow. Okay, and I haven't done this before, so let me make sure I know what the heck I'm doing.
There's so many moving parts. This is crazy, but it's awesome.
Yeah, it is awesome. I guess, so I have to press this button. Let's see here. Yeah, so here's a birthday recipe. So the birthday reminder in the CRM, right? So there's a workflow trigger called birthday reminder, right? And so I can add filters to that now. So I can say 7 days before their birthday, and I could even do this is only for January birthdays, 7 days before their January birthday, then I want this SMS message to go out, wait 24 hours for a reply. If they haven't replied, yes or no. If it's yes, send them an SMS with a 20% discount. If it's no, get them out of here. Wait 2 days for the reply. Are they interested in the offer, right? So you can, you can just really automate the living heck out of your business by getting in here and understanding these workflows.
Yeah.
Because there's almost no end. Like all of the technology that's built into HighLevel can be accessed through these workflows and integrated in here. You want to send somebody an email, an SMS, do a call, do a voicemail, blah, 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 and that type of stuff. You want to add tags, remove tags, update opportunities, add notes. You want to move somebody from one workflow to another. You want to charge them something. You want to add them to your Google Analytics, your AdWords campaigns. You want to put them in custom audiences. You want to put them in your membership area. You want to wait and see, what they did before you make that decision. Like, did they respond to this? If they did, go this way. If they didn't, go that way, and put them in a whole different set of communication. So you can literally map out, like, gosh, what is the entire series of events that I would like to happen for this prospect, right? And I don't have them, so I am in the process of migrating all of my workflows over to HighLevel here. I'm just getting started with it because I was waiting for them to come out with some features that they've come out with now. But so like in Drip, I've designed all these sequences, Bart, so that let's say I send you an email about Instagram, okay? And you click on that email about Instagram, then that triggers you into a workflow, and it will then send you another message about Instagram. And if you click that one, it will take you down a sales process to make an offer. But if you didn't click on that one, I would say, you're not interested enough to get an offer. And then I would just kick you back out onto my newsletter list. So that way, based on your original intention and interest in what I put out there, I'm going to send you down this communication pathway or not, right? So you can do amazing things with these workflows where you're based on my prospect's action or my customer's action, I can determine what to do with them, but do it in a totally automated way.
Right. So when you're creating a new workflow, say for a new client, and you're thinking you're going to incorporate a snapshot or these campaigns, you need to go in and clone those and name them first, I guess, for the new campaign. So you're not like adding somebody else's campaign, even though it might be a similar niche, just to kind of keep everything clean, I guess, and organized, so you know what you're pulling in.
Yep.
Yeah.
And once you get in there and play with them a while, you'll get it. But yeah, there's those nuances of how do you want to organize these things, and so I've gone through. So Bart, you have my leverage selling training. So in leverage selling, I've gone through that 5F. So I design my workflows around that 5F structure, so that when I create a new offer, I literally just take that 5F workflow structure, copy it, and then I have standard naming for campaigns so that I know throughout that 5F workflow, all I've got to do is just update the campaigns at the right step with the campaigns that are for that offer that I'm making. But it's a find campaign, a filter campaign, a follow-up campaign, a follow-through campaign. So I create those same standardized sets of campaigns for the new offer, and then I just go through the workflow and just do replace that campaign here, replace that campaign here, replace that campaign here, and then it's set. I press publish and it's good to go. So that comes from me having to create a lot of workflows and a lot of products and a lot of screwing up. And so I've got it. That's the way I've got it structured now. And so that's what I will teach you guys. But that is the approach that I recommend that you take, is really try and think through that standardization, because that just makes life so much easier.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, hey, thank you. That's great. Appreciate it.
Yeah, you bet. Al asks, which business model do I prefer, pay-per-lead or rank and rent? Al, I personally love rank and rent versus pay-per-lead, just because in my experience, it was very, very easy to get a site ranked and then just rent it for a relatively low dollar amount and just collect money month after month without any squabbles, any hassle, nothing.
Make sure there's a big demand for that market. So you have like, at least 10 or so people to call on about it.
Oh, for sure. Oh, yeah. And, versus paper lead, I found that there's a lot of squabbling around that. So it can be a very good model in a lot of markets, and once you find the right customers who are mature enough to pay for the leads and they know the value of them and, they're not squawkers, it can be a great model. I personally, if I was doing paper lead, it would only be, personally for me, at this point, it would only be on ad networks, paper lead ad networks, if you know what I mean. So like there's major insurance companies out there, right, that will pay you $45 a lead if you get somebody to fill out their little insurance landing page. That these are multi-bazillion-dollar companies, and they just look. If you have a real human being fill out that form, you're going to get $45. You're going to get it in your account tomorrow, right? They know their math. They know how to determine if you're sending them fraudulent traffic, right? They've got all the systems. Again, these are multi-billion-dollar insurance companies or, mortgage companies or whatever. There's entire networks of pay-per-lead, like affiliate model networks like that. That's what I would do, because I would never actually have to talk to a customer or hear any of them squabble. Local businesses are a pain in the neck on this stuff versus big companies that know their numbers and are on a network. So I would just get on those paper lead networks and I would just be driving traffic to those, personally, for me. For local businesses, I love rank and rent because it's just much less squabbling. That site is yours for $497 a month. If you ever stop paying me, I'm going to rent it to your competition the very next day. Period, end of sentence. Jim, go for it.
Oh, good. The workflows that we're just showing, that isn't in the $97 a month thing or version, correct?
I believe that is correct. I think workflows maybe are only in Pro. I'm not 100% sure on that. Can anybody speak to that?
No, they've been released for everybody now.
Oh, they have been?
I think they're, I got it a little early, but and I'm not on Pro, but they're available to everybody. They're not just a Pro thing.
And maybe I got to figure out how to, where would it be? Because the dashboard I've got, app.GoHighLevel, whatever, looks totally different than what you're showing.
There's actually a link. I don't know if I can find it or if I have it, but you can just contact GHL support and just ask them or tell them, can you activate workflows for me? And basically they just did it. I didn't do anything. I didn't pay them off or anything.
No payoff?
There's no payolas. Yeah, so you can just ask them. And I know it was generally released for the pro group, and I thought it was maybe generally, or maybe it's about to be for the agency level 297 folks. But you will get it. So just message them. They'll get you set up on it.
You guys can go in and do that yourself. Just go in.
There you go.
Switch over to agency level, not the location, and then look on per location basis. You have to enable workflows. It's still got that tweak in there, unfortunately.
Got it. Awesome.
Okay. Well, that's better than.
That's better than paying more.
Well, I would pay more, but I just don't know. I have a lot to learn about this.
Yeah.
And it doesn't seem wise to spend $500 a month until I've learned the basics. And I'm going through your course, and I have their course, and I got too much to do.
Yeah.
My birthday's coming up.
Yeah, Jim, and I say this to everybody, like HighLevel, you gotta do a deep dive. Like it makes there's such a big payoff that I relate this to when I decided to like really learn how to do Facebook advertising. When I started my e-commerce business, Facebook advertising was like the economic engine of it, and I was like, okay. Like it makes sense for me to do the deep dive on how to do this because I literally can go from $1,000 a day in sales to $20,000 a day in sales. Like if I get this right, so it makes sense. The economic return to you, if you're in this agency or marketing services business, to really understand HighLevel, the economic return is huge. So you like just got to jump in and both feet like go for it. Otherwise, it'll be 6 months from now. You'll still be going, I'm not sure I understand that.
How does it welcome that? I think I saw something $99 for this thing, and they just do it for me.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, so setup. That's the SaaS setup I think he's talking about.
Oh, yeah. I think you're referring to the setup. So HighLevel has a setup service that they'll do. So if you sign up a customer, you can have HighLevel do the setup of the customer, the initial setup of the account to get them all up and running in the account for $100, which is great.
Can I do that for my company so that I can go out and find some new customers?
Oh, for sure.
Okay, well, I think I should do that because it's one thing. Like when I see you, my only feedback is your screen is way too small for me to even understand what you're talking about half the time. I've got a 27-inch iMac, but it's like it's hard to see.
Are you talking about on these live calls or in my courses? Because in my courses, you should be able to blow up the videos.
I'm talking about the call right now because you were showing, but I see on the right-hand side you had just a whole nice list of, text, callback text, and et cetera. But the other one that you were showing where you had the three, what's that? Oh, hang on, I don't know what it was, to be honest with you. There's a map I said to get nice and confused. There was something that...
While you're thinking about that, Greg, I just put in the replay link right now into the chat. Mm-hmm. That is not the full replay of the bonus training I did because that is for people who obviously bought the product and I don't want to give away any details of that product since it's not my product type of thing. But what I did was I cut the part where I really started my training on the websites. And it's that link that I just put in there to the group. So Gregory, you can grab that there.
Okay.
So let's see here, Jim. While you're thinking on was there another specific question that you had?
I'll just suffer along.
Can I make a comment to Jim, if you don't mind?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, so Jim, because I went through a long time of having THL before I really started using it, and a lot of me getting to where I am at the point, which is just finally launching on the new model and Mike's model and working with Mike and kind of brought a lot of clarity for me. The one thing he said to me, I don't know if he remembers it, probably it's the sales mastermind thing was probably about 4 or 5 months ago. And finally he said, why don't you just get a VA or hire somebody, because like the part of the tech side of it, like I don't want to mess with. I'm a salesperson by nature. I'm only saying to you, the comment is, if you're a tech person, then you should dive in, like Mike said. And if you're really not, then you might consider trying to get some third-party help, depending on what you're trying to do, because you can't do it all. Nobody can do it all. And if you focus so much on the tech, then you're probably not selling. And if you're not selling, then you can't focus. If you're selling, you can't really focus on the tech. So I think the only lesson learned, or I'm just trying to share with you from someone who's kind of been there, been stuck, trying to do everything for a long time, and realized at some point the light bulb went on and went, You can't possibly. It's just not going to work unless you just want to sell. Unless you're not really in the business, you just want to sell something here and there and make a few dollars.
No, I get you, Glenn, and I would like to recommend to everybody on the call the book by Dr. Benjamin Hardy and strategic coach Dan Sullivan. Who, not how. Often with the cost mindset, it's easy to say, oh, well, I can do this myself, I can learn it, I don't have to pay X number of dollars.
Right.
With an investment mindset, and I bought his book, and it's a great book, and you're absolutely right. It's best to, that's one of the reasons I'm talking about this welcome mat. I'm actually interviewing a team of people that I think would be quite good to go big with this or go home. And I've had some meetings with them. But you're right. Unfortunately, when I ran a consulting group in Redmond, Washington, I used to get these statements from the engineers like, oh, you don't really want to mess with the SMTP. Oh my God, the hula color, what you call it. So I actually got certified by Microsoft for a while, because then I could say, would you just stop bullshitting me and go out there and fix that?
Yeah.
Okay, so there's a little bit of that going.
Sure. Again, you have to do what you're comfortable doing and how you want to run your business. I'm only saying, like, based on some of the questions you're asking, you'll get to where you want to go a lot faster if you're able to, bring some brains to the table.
My brain's not it's not firing on all cylinders.
Nobody's is. Mine isn't either. It's okay.
Yeah, I think to summarize, that book, by the way, is great, Jim, and Glenn's point is a really important one. And we all have our different levels of comfort, as Glenn said, and it's really important to know yours and understand yours. So for me, when I was in the IT industry, and this has happened to me, 3 times in my career. When I got into the IT industry, I knew nothing about IT, and I found that what I had to do was learn enough that I could do exactly what you were talking about, Jim, where I could call people on their bullshit, where I could ask the questions,
exactly,
and know, like, wait a minute, something's not adding up here. Let me get somebody else's perspective, So. And what I found is that many people that you will rely on if you hire an employee or an outside vendor or whatever, 1, are not critical thinkers, and 2, just don't have the vested interest in your business that you do. And so they'll try and give you the easy answer, or they simply literally cannot think through a problem. They do not have a logical process to address a problem. I would say maybe even most people do not. And so as a CEO of a company in that space, I was like, I have to know enough about this to be able to do that for me to feel comfortable. Now, that's my personal degree of comfort. And what I did was I studied like hell for like 24 months, everything I could get my hands on, reading like crazy and learning like crazy. And then I turned a corner where it was like, okay, my confidence here is like, it doesn't matter what technology you throw at me. I know the questions I can ask. I understand the big picture frameworks to fit it in. And that's my comfort level. And with HighLevel, I did the exact same thing. I was like, man, I just got to dive into this thing. Like, if I'm going to be working with you guys and telling you guys you should be building your business on this, I got to get my hands dirty. I got to know it. So I put my businesses on it. I use it, every single day. So you've got to figure out your comfort level, but I do believe that there is, at a bare minimum, you have got to dive in enough to understand the capabilities of the platform so that when you hire a vendor for help, that you can push them to say, no, look, I know it can do that. I need you to do that. Like, you got to figure it out for me. That's what I'm paying you for, but I know it can do that. So let's get it done. Otherwise, again, you may just miss out on opportunities by not, understanding that full capabilities of it. So, it's a good conversation. It's a good thing to figure out because none of us can do it all. Absolutely. Al says, so is it faster to create a website inside of HighLevel rather than creating it from a WordPress template, or the same? Herb, I think it's actually probably really close now. I mean, like when I was building sites really quickly in HighLevel, they got, there's all those replicator tools or whatever where you can just, I think super similar with HighLevel. The big difference is that with HighLevel is no hosting cost, 1. 2, integration automatically built in with all of the other marketing tools, forms, surveys, follow-up sequences, all that good stuff. And 3, that you have custom fields and custom variables. Okay, so that's a big deal in HighLevel. When I go and create a new website, so let's say I'm doing just chiropractic sites, and I have figured out that when I launch a new website, there are 50 things that I need to customize on that website. The name, the logo field, the contact us link, the blah, 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 right? I can have those all as custom variables so that when I create the new site and the new account, I just go to the custom variables field, fill all those out, and boom, my site is updated. Like, that's crazy powerful, and create some amazing efficiencies. So for me personally, I would have to have a real strong reason as to why I'm building something in WordPress versus HighLevel at this point. And I see your comments, Al, about the cost of ranking a site. Yeah, I mean, obviously that's gonna vary market by market, but also, and you said, I'm not sure if it's underselling. I'm not sure if there's a good ROI or whatever, how scalable it is. Yeah, so I mean, obviously you gotta figure that out for yourself. If you have a good sales process where you know that you can rank a site for 1,000 and then rent it for $497, and that thing's gonna rank for the next 5 years, right? Then obviously the ROI is very straightforward. It's just a matter of getting the financing for the $1,000 up front to build those things as quickly as you can. So that that's obviously something you just gotta run those numbers. Herb says, can you speak to the thought of giving a free website as the offer to find, rank, and rent customers? It would be a second site, not their current site. Free. I don't know that I understand how or why I would do that. I mean, if I was trying to find rank and rec customers, I would just rank sites and then I would just go straight to them and say, hey, if you'd like more traffic, more leads, more visibility, I have a site that's already ranked and ready to go for you, and it's X dollars a month. It gets this much traffic. I think
he might be. I'm not trying to read into it, but maybe he's thinking on his regular site he's got more of the about us stuff and more of the stuff that's more related to his specific industry, as opposed to just building the content to attract people with, which may not have the specific information about his business, that individual business.
I think I understand that, but I don't understand the free offer part of it.
Right.
So Herb, you're saying that you would do that to be finding clients first? To me, they're just the reason why I just don't. I'm not a fan of what you're suggesting, at least initially, without trying it. Is I just feel like they're different customers. I just feel like it's a totally different value proposition. So you may find overlap. That the customer that you found for the free website is also a good rank and rec customer, but my concern would be that the overlap isn't consistent enough to make that like my go-to strategy. If that makes sense. What level, Herb says, do you have to start at to get the feature for creating websites with HighLevel? You have to be at the Agency Unlimited, the second level up in HighLevel. It's like the $297 a month level.
Mike, what's your I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
Oh yeah. What's your follow-up? What's your thoughts on? So I've kind of created my SaaS offering, just for terminology's sake, right? Which is a breakdown of, two-way text chat and email marketing and reputation. And then there's just a few, things in there, obviously, that make it more mine. But I'm not, in my packages, I don't have like marketing campaigns in there, right? Because I don't know what, at this point when I'm launching, I don't really know what the client needs or what that's going to look like or what that's going to cost me to do. So, I'm kind of like sold my first, in the new model here, I've sold that as a, hey, for professional services, I'm just going to quote you based on what you asked, what we want to do. So that's kind of where I'm coming from. So the follow-up to that is then, is it dangerous or foolhardy to basically try to productize the service packages from the standpoint of, you get one campaign a month or a quarter with this package, and you get 2 campaigns a quarter with this package? Or is that just because again, the campaigns are going to be vary of difficulty in what they are.
Yeah.
So how do you productize that part of?
To me, that's kind of like you ever heard that old saying, "You can't polish a turd."
Yeah.
That kind of reminds me of that. Like it's still you're just selling time and labor, and you're just trying to put a little fancy wrapper around it.
Right.
It's not a bad thing to do because it actually makes it easier to buy, right? So as long as you understand how to put initial boundaries around it. So I'll tell you, Glenn, as an example, in the IT industry, it's unbelievable to me to think that it happened this way, and it still does in a lot of cases, right? When you said, I bought a new computer and I need to have the IT guy come and set up the new computer, right? The IT guy would just tell you it's $125 an hour. And they would show up there, and I'm not joking you, it could be 2 hours, it could be 7 hours, it could be 2 days, depending on how much that IT guy yanked your chain, and or there was a hiccup with the software, loading the software, and so hey, it's not my fault, it's the hiccup with the software. So they just took no accountability in finding a solution to create efficiency. They had no skin in the game. In fact, it was exactly the opposite. The incentive was, hey, I'll just sit around here and make money. So at Everon, we said, hey, look, to set up a new computer, it's $297. Flat fee, okay? Now, we had boundaries around it. So it's $297. That includes operating system initiation, antivirus install of the Office, thing for Microsoft, blah, blah, blah. If you want anything else, so you have custom software packages that you have for your business that you need installed, then those are all additional costs, and here's how we charge for them. But just by putting that initial setup in a package and saying, hey, look, we'll commit to it at this price point, made it so much easier for people to buy. Right? So you can absolutely do that and get a ton of benefit from it. Just acknowledge that what you're still doing is you're still probably just taking labor and just packaging it up in a different way. And so if that's the case, you really got to put boundaries and control those variables so that you don't get screwed.
Yeah, I mean, one of the sticking points for me in my model, which is more of the multi-location, franchise type model, is when I do something, I really have to do it for each location, right? So if I bring on a 4-location guy and I'm running a reactivation campaign, I'm running it for one maybe in Connecticut, one's in New Jersey, the 4 locations, right? I have to really run 4 campaigns, right? So based on the proximity, who's opting in, who's opting out, each database is separated. We just don't have that roll-up capability inside GHL today, right? So there's really no way to do it. So that's the struggle, is that I know the safe way is what I'm taking right now is, okay, I'll quote you on a professional services basis for that stuff, and that's fine. I'm just looking at, as I roll out, and how can I make my model more efficient and do all those things. So
yeah, you'll find a way. I mean, for sure. Especially, I mean, if you stay focused on an industry, you'll find a way. You'll find a way to start structuring and reusing campaign assets instead of starting from scratch and stuff like that. And then classifying or categorizing certain types of campaigns, like, hey, we've got our such and such reactivation campaign. It's 5 steps. Here's what it does, blah, blah, blah. And you know that you're going to do some customization of it, but it's a 5-step reactivation campaign. And that, and that's kind of that, right? So, like you'll figure it out over time. It's all about though, the more vertically focused you stay, the more efficient that will get. The less vertically focused, the more inefficient it will remain.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not in a situation where I'm having a problem, but I kind of came to light to me from a simple inquiry about like how would I do a newsletter for locations, right? I mean, you can't. There's no way to send that out of a central area in GHL. So you've got to create it like a snapshot, and then basically import that newsletter into the locations, right? Using the custom fields and stuff, and popular, the right footer information you get for that location in one state versus another. But it's it just becomes another layer of complexity.
Totally. I hope that they're going to fix that. That is Sean's intention, is to create a scalable newsletter delivery system. So hopefully they're going to get there relatively quickly.
I've been all over Sean, and I actually had a private meeting with Sean and then Shaw, who's in charge. My whole issue, the CRM is my major beef. The CRM is just terrible. It's just terrible. And that's a huge problem for me from the standpoint that it's holding me back from taking my price points and jumping up to like, when you're quoting CRM for 20 locations and 250 users, it's a whole other sale level than doing it. And that's I'm just beating Sean up every time on Wednesday. When we talk about the CRM, Sean, it's like, wow. All right. Anyway, I realize a lot of these questions and my issues will resolve themselves over experience and time. And it's just I know you've been there before I have. So,
Cool. All right, I'm going to take one more question from outside of, so I'm going to answer Al's question here, and then I'm going to take one more question, and then I got to wrap it up. Al says, which of the following services do you recommend to offer the most? Rank and rent website, Instagram marketing / social posting, reputation management, or free website? And Al, the reason why I'm going to answer this is because this is a kind of question that I get a lot. And the answer is, I can't freaking answer that for you, man. Like, what market are you selling to? Like, what are their needs, right? So, I've got to know those things, and you've got to know those things. And so it is a great question, because the answer is very instructive for so many people that are getting started. You've got to choose a core customer avatar, and then you've got to define the needs of that avatar, right? So any of those services could be great services, right? They could all be awesome, or they could all be total duds, and somewhere in between. So reputation management is a fantastic service for just about every type of business, but it's also been offered like crazy for the last 10 years. So do you have a way of differentiating that service when you go to market to whoever your core customer avatar is, right? I mean, it's clearly a service that can be sold and can make a lot of money for the right person and all that stuff, because there's tons of people out there doing it. But can you do it and have any sort of competitive advantage? I don't know. So I would love to be able to answer these questions for you, but it's just not that easy. The answer is always, who's your customer? What the heck do they need? Can you differentiate yourself in the marketplace to address that need? You answer those questions, we can talk about which services are the right ones. All of those are great services for the right customer. Okay.
Can I add one thing, Mike?
Yeah.
The thing of it is, I would add, where are your potential customers at? If they are on Instagram, if your clients' customers are on Instagram, you should do something for Instagram. But it's really going back to your avatar. I mean, where I don't think that, TV is good for some people and direct mail is great for others, and it depends on where my customer would be. Do you agree or disagree with that?
Oh, I totally agree with that. Yeah. And it depends on the service that you're offering. That how that relates to, if you're doing reputation management, it may not really be an issue of where their customers are. It's just, however the customer is interacting with you and your business, you want to capture a review and publish that, reputation, that review post. So yeah, just depends on what the heck you're offering. So
it's not the way I'm using where. I guess what I'm saying is, let me just make it a little clearer. So I'm a pretty good salesman. I actually started working for Travelers Life Insurance right out of college. And at the end of the year, I got a letter saying, "Oh, you happen to be the most successful first-year sales rep in 119 years."
That's awesome.
Never did I try to sell my friends life insurance. I was 20. They didn't need it. But I would find somebody who had a partner and had a business, and that partner and him didn't have any key man insurance. And I just had a personal friend of mine have to write a check to the IRS for $1.8 million because his partner died.
Yeah.
And he had a buy-sell agreement. And so you have to buy out the wife. You don't want the wife necessarily. Nothing against women. In fact, I think women can be better.
Jim, focus. What was the
focus I'm trying to say is pick a niche, make it smaller than you think you should go, and then go a little bit smaller, and you can have a message that you said early on. Simplify, make it so easy.
Yeah.
It's a no-brainer to either buy or to say I want more information or it's not for me.
Yep. Great lesson. Absolutely. Okay. Was there any other additional question before we go here? Gonna wrap it up. It's been 2 hours and 15 minutes. It's been a good call. Thank you everybody for being here and all the good interaction. And so here, Gregory says, I set up a Facebook page, Southfield Local News and Events, as a media asset. Should I also set up one for Instagram? Yes. Yeah, Gregory, absolutely. And do I recommend one platform over the other? I absolutely am a massive fan in local media of Instagram. To me, Instagram blows everything else out of the water. So yes, absolutely get on Instagram. And if you had to, the cool thing is obviously Facebook and Instagram are so integrated at this point that a lot of the content you publish on Instagram, you can just auto-publish over to Facebook as well. So it makes it pretty easy to have both and keep both up to date. But if you had to pick one or the other, I'd be all over Instagram.
Why do you say that? I'm curious. My market's different anyway, but why do you say that?
Because Instagram is so much more local than Facebook is. Because Instagram is I'm walking around the world, taking pictures, and then posting them. So it's local by nature. Not necessarily in all the accounts that you follow. Of course, on Instagram, I can follow accounts from wherever. But it is more naturally local than Facebook, which is I'm just sharing articles and a cat video and yada yada. Facebook is so easy to just share junk that it's just everything, right? Whereas Instagram tends to be incredibly local. Most of their activity on Instagram is about local stuff. So the amount of interaction that you can get and engagement that you can get on a local basis on Instagram just blows out of the water what you'll get on Facebook.
Interesting. Okay. So, again, my vertical is more industrial, B2B. And Facebook or Instagram to me don't make any sense at all. What's your thought? What you're thinking? I'm really thinking about direct mail, actually, from my environment, because I can get the addresses. I can
Sure.
send them.
The answer is yes. I love direct mail.
Yeah. Okay.
Completely underutilized, super powerful. Yeah, I love it.
As long as I can get my offer into their building to the right desk seat, hopefully. But yeah, I'm not going to find Instagram and Facebook.
So I'm going to answer for Greg here real quick, and then I'm going to sign off. Says, should I use some of the same posts with some different posts if using both platforms? Yes. So Gregory, when you're posting on Instagram, it's a picture or a story, right? So, but if you just look at, a good example of this, Gregory, is look at my There San Diego Instagram account and look at my There San Diego Facebook page. So on my Facebook page, I'm linking back to my articles on my website, right? So I'm taking one of my posts from my website and I'm posting it as a post on Facebook to drive people to my website. On Instagram, you can't really as easily, you can do it, but you're not linking back to anything. So you're just posting good pictures. So on Instagram, it's really just all about what's the image and the caption that you're putting there. So could you also do just an image post on Facebook? So you post on Instagram and then you also share it to Facebook? Absolutely. But in general, to build up your Facebook page, the content mix is going to be different than what you're doing on Instagram. Okay? Awesome. Everybody, thank you so much. Have a fantastic Friday and a fantastic weekend. Happy 4th of July to everybody here in the United States. Enjoy your weekend. I hope it's a fun one and a relaxing one and an opportunity to celebrate and kind of celebrate more of this coming out of the muck and making a transition here. And thank you all so much for your time and attention. I always appreciate it. And we'll see you on the next office hours, which should be 2 weeks from now. Okay? We'll talk soon, everybody. Take care.
You.
Bye-bye.
Take care, Mike. Yep.